Before this video begins, I'd just like to give an extra special thank you to my patron, The Beast Boss. Links to join the Patreon can be found in the description down below. We finally have a new sonic screwdriver. Okay, so I don't normally do videos like this. I've never really done like a Doctor Who toy or sonic screwdriver review before in the past. And I was originally planning on doing this kind of like an unboxing when I got it, just like filmed on my phone that I was going to put kind of for free on my Patreon, which will be linked down below. But I didn't end up doing and filming any unboxing stuff. I have got pictures of it in the box when I got it and stuff like that. But I didn't really feel like filming an unboxing when it got round to it. I also didn't have a video ready for this weekend, and I might not have many videos going out every weekend from now on, but because I didn't have a video ready for this weekend, I thought I'll just do a whole normal video on this new sonic screwdriver. So it's going to sort of be a review of sorts. Obviously, like I said, there's no unboxing because I already have it here. The box is gone. I don't keep boxes for things like some people do. I'm not that much of a collector where I have things still packaged and stuff like that, so I've just kind of got it as it is. It will be on the shelf there. I did just take it off, but where I've got all the other sonic screwdrivers there, that tends to be where how I do things, where I display things. Especially now I've got this new office space, it's much better for displaying these kind of things. But yeah, I just kind of want to talk about this and kind of do a review. To start off with, let's talk about the design of the sonic screwdriver itself, not just the toy. I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of this design because it doesn't look that much like a sonic screwdriver, which I do get. For me personally, I seem to be one of the only people that actually really likes the design and is completely fine with it being called a sonic screwdriver. I know some people don't mind the design and think instead it shouldn't have been called a sonic screwdriver. For me personally, I really don't see kind of what the difference will be there. Like, nothing will change besides them calling it a different thing, and I don't personally think that makes that big of a difference. So I'm personally fine with it being called a sonic screwdriver, but I can see why some people would prefer it be called like the sonic remote or sonic probe or something like that. I just personally don't see what difference that would really make in the grand scheme of things. But I know some people just don't like the design at all in general. They think it looks like a Sky TV remote or something like that, which I also do get. I understand those criticisms and why some people don't like it, but for me personally, like I've said, I personally quite like the design. I like that it's something quite new and different to what we've had before in the past, and for me personally, it might be up there as one of my favorite designs just because of how different and unique it is. And I love the color schemes of it, particularly obviously the original design, which is this one. There's obviously a couple of other designs in the show that we've got so far in season 1. There's, I believe it's a red one that they've got. I can't remember what it's with, if it's red and gold or something like that, but there's definitely a red one that he has in Rogue, and there's another one, that black and gold one, which is my personal favorite, and I really hope they release a version of that in the future that's the black and gold version. It does mean I'm probably gonna have to spend another £40, but for me personally, I do want that. If that does end up being the case, I might end up buying that and maybe selling this one or giving it to my other friend that I know that doesn't have one of these yet and would probably like to have one and might not end up buying one in the future. I think that's the only different ones we've got so far. For some reason in my head, there's a vision that there might have been like a purely silver one, but that might have just been this one, but in, you know, it being obscured or in different light, and I can't really remember. But yeah, overall, like I said, for me personally, I personally quite like the design of this. My favourite part is the Gallifreyan text that's on it here. Not only because it just looks really nice and it's a nice feature to have on a sonic screwdriver, which I'm surprised hasn't been on one. I'm pretty sure it's not been on any of the previous sonic screwdrivers. But not only because it looks cool to have some Gallifreyan text on there, but because it's kind of the perfect saying to have on there, because it's not only something incredibly Doctor-like, which is the sharpness of the tongue defeats the sharpness of the warrior, but it's also a Rwandan proverb, which obviously links to Ncuti Gatwa, the 15th Doctor actor. It links to his heritage, which I think is a really nice touch because it also just happens to be something incredibly doctory, which I really like. I think it's a really great addition to this. So that's probably my favorite feature of this, or my favorite part of the design of the prop itself. But there's a lot of features in the sonic screwdriver and in this toy in particular that I'm going to get into later in this video that I'm really happy with. But before we get onto that, I think the first thing I'll talk about is kind of the sound effects. I think that's the easiest thing to do, and the lights. Obviously, when you press it once, there's the normal sound effect with the on and off kind of clicking sound that they've added for the past few releases, which sounds like this. And as you can see, there's a lot of different lights on this. It goes, the lights kind of come out at a lot of different points in this prop. And once you start using it, and once you kind of turn it and open it and stuff like that, there is this kind of crystal, this power crystal that comes on, which I think is a really nice touch. Obviously, after a while, does turn off, and I don't know how much that's going to affect the battery life, but it is a really nice touch. The only issue I have with this original sound is for some reason it kind of sounds like it, I don't think stutter's quite the right word, but there's something about the start. When you first press it, the actual sonic screwdriver sound is a little little bit quiet for probably less than a second, and then it suddenly just becomes louder again, and I'm not sure if that was intentional, but it kind of bugs me a little bit. I was worried it was just a defect of my actual my particular one that I got sent, but I have heard it in other reviews as well. I think I watched the Batman March review again after I got this, and it does sound like it's the same in there. I'll just play it again so you can see what I mean. It just kind of all of a sudden gets louder quite suddenly, and I'm not sure if that was meant to be intentional. So that's kind of my only like nitpick about that original sound. So that's the first sound. There's two other built-in sounds for this, which you can activate by pressing it twice, and obviously by pressing it 3 times to get those other sounds. And there is also some secret sounds, which I'll get to towards the end of this video. But this is the second built-in sound. So it's just kind of a more kind of like stuttery or kind of running out of power kind of sound. I'm not really sure the best way to describe it. It's just a bit more different to the original sound. And then there's a third one, which I think is really interesting, which sounds like this. And then when you let go, it does this. So I guess that's meant to be kind of like a scanning sound. I can't remember if it's the same thing from when he's scanning at the start of Rogue or something like that, but it's a very cool sound, and I like the beep at the end. I don't know if it's meant to be a kind of thing of it running out, or if it's meant to be like if it's detected something, you know. But I think it's very cool, a very cool thing that a very cool sound effect they've introduced in there. And also when it does that beeping at the end, the power crystal does flash as well, which I think is very cool. So those are the 3 built-in sounds for this sonic screwdriver. Like I said at the start of this video, there are a few other features in this which are really good. I'm not sure how well I'm going to be able to show them all in this, so I might have to put them in after the fact. But there's obviously the emitter at the top here, which when you press this button here, it flicks out, which I think is a really cool feature. I believe this is what he uses. Well, first of all, I think he uses it in Space Babies to plug it into the like computer. I think it's also what he looks through when he's looking at the D&D dice that Rogue has in Rogue. But I could be wrong. That could be this other bit. But I think it's this bit. It's kind of like a viewfinder. You can play the sounds when it's open and stuff as well, which is really cool. And it makes sounds both when you eject it and when you retract it as well, which is really cool. That's probably one of my favorite things about this, is not only does it have all these cool features, but there's also sound effects for pretty much every feature and every moving part in this sonic screwdriver, which I think is really cool. So secondly, similarly to that, there is also this part of the screwdriver that slides out, that's kind of like, I think the Doctor uses it to get Ruby's DNA and stuff like that in Empire of Death. I can't remember if it's used in any other points of the series, but basically it just kind of slides out like that, and then when it's slid out like that, it's just constantly kind of flashing and making sounds, which hopefully you can hear me over that. And then you put it away. Like I said, it makes a sound both when you eject it, I guess is the right word, I don't know, or slide it out, and when you slide it back in as well, when you retract it, which is really cool. And the final feature, which is going to be difficult for me to show in this particular angle, because I've got to hold the microphone, is you can slide this to the closed mode, and it's kind of like the clamshell kind of design, so it's more pocketable, which is really cool. And once again, it makes a sound whenever you do it as well, which is really cool. You can do it both ways, 180 degrees both ways, left or right. It doesn't do like a full 360, so you can't, it kind of stops when it gets to the fully out mode, but you can do it both ways. So you can, and then it stops when you do it the other way as well. So you can't 360 degree rotate it, but you can do it both ways 180 degrees, which is really cool. And those are all like the main advertised built-in features of this sonic screwdriver. But there is also a secret mode that you can get into it by tapping the main emitter button 15 times and then holding it after the 15th time and opening this kind of slide away kind of DNA scanner, whatever it is, section. And then you slide that out, and then it beeps like that, and then you put it back in, and now it's in a different mode. As you can see, the power crystal is now green instead of purple, and when you press the button, it makes the laser screwdriver sounds from the Masters laser screwdriver from Series 3. And as you can see, it's also got red lights on it when you do that, so that's very cool. And then there's a second sound, which I'm not entirely sure what this is. It sounds kind of like a regeneration thing, but I'm assuming it's another sound effect from the laser screwdriver, which I did used to have, I think, when I was younger, but I can't remember if that is from that or not. And then to get back out of it, you just do the same thing you did to get back into the mode. And now it's back in the normal mode, which you can tell from the purple power crystal. Yeah, this is very cool. Like I said, I really like the design of the screwdriver itself, and I think the toy is really well done. I think it's a great replica of it, especially for, you know, a character options toy, basically. Obviously, it's plastic and stuff like that. It's not like a proper replica, but it still looks very good, particularly because of the deluxe coating of it, basically. They've got the, I believe it's called the electroplated coating that they do with the paint, so it kind of looks kind of chrome and shiny, and it works even better better with this sonic screwdriver than it does for the 14th Doctor's, because obviously some parts of the 14th Doctor's sonic screwdriver are not metal. There's just kind of the chrome silvery bits and then the chromed gold bits that are on the bottom, and that's pretty much it. The other bits are kind of meant to be like a leathery bit and kind of the cracked kind of ceramic-y whatever it is bit that's kind of inspired by the 10th Doctor's sonic screwdriver. Whereas this, the whole prop is meant to be made out of metal, so you know, all the blue, silver and gold parts are all meant to be metal, and they're all chrome plated in this version of the screwdriver. But that also means they are doing a standard edition version of it like they did with the 14th Doctor's sonic screwdriver, where it's not chrome plated, it's just normal grey, blue and kind of gold-ish paint that they've got on it instead of the chrome plated stuff, which you can now buy on Forbidden Planet, and it's about £15 cheaper, I think. As far as I can tell, I've tried to read through the description of it on Forbidden Planet, and the only difference I can tell is that painting, that finish that it's got on it. Okay, so I'm just coming in from the future in the edit to say there's now been a video of somebody kind of showing off the new Forbidden Planet version of the sonic screwdriver, and there are more changes to it than that. It is also, basically there's no sound effects when you eject the emitter and put it back in, and there's no sound effects when you slide out the scanner that they've got in it as well. So that's some other differences, the only difference besides the paint job as well. But it's still nice that there's a cheaper option for some people out there that can't afford to get this one, or are waiting to get it later on when they've got the money or something like that, because this is meant to be kind of a limited edition, I think. So it's cool that the option's there, I just can't really see what the main differences of it are. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, this is something quite different for the channel. I don't know if I'll do anything like this again in the future. That's pretty much all I have to say for this. I'm gonna go put it on the shelf right now, where I had it displayed before. So that's a nice little addition to the collection, and let me know what you think about the sonic screwdriver in the comments down below, whether it's just the prop itself, the toy itself, if you've got the toy itself and what you think about it. And if you want to know everything we know about the first Whoniverse spin-off that's coming out next year, or should be coming out next year, which is the War Between the Land and the Sea, I'll make sure to have the video for that on screen now. Before I forget, I just need to do my thumbnail for this. I don't normally have to pose for thumbnails, so I'm going to do that real quick. How should I do it? Probably open everything up, right?